Yeah, coach, just your overall assessment of the first 3 days working with the specialist. I'm sure you got to spend a good bit of time. I think maybe a couple hours a week with them over the summer.
Yes. As far as the specialists go, it's been great with how college football has kind of transitioned and you gotten, a little bit more access to them in the summer. I think that's been a really good thing for our specialists. And I know it's been a couple of years since we've been able to start doing that stuff, but I think it's especially important, with a few transfers in that room as well, because you get to know them better, you get to know their work ethic, you get to know what they do fundamentally and the things that you can help them with. And they've done a good job. They've worked hard all summer. Coach Tillman and Coach Reinhardt have done a really good job with them as well. And then these first 3 days, I thought the guys have really come out and been intentional on what they're trying to do. We got a little ways to go though before we play a game, and we got to make sure we're honing in on some little details and stuff. But I think we're moving in the right direction for sure, and fired up about our specialist.
When you look over the several years, I guess, with kickoff return rules, moving from the 30 to the 35 and outlawing wedge blocking all the way to now you can fair catch and get it at the 25, does it make sense 90% of the time to even return a kickoff?
I think it's important that you teach your kickoff return team um, the right time to return a kick. We're going to play a lot of good kickers this year, right? And if it is a returnable ball that can time up right with its blocks, that's the opportunity you have to make an explosive play on kickoff return. I think it's not very smart when you can always take the ball at the 25-yard line, if it is a normal, regular kick, to just take chances. I think you got to define it. We talk about having a go zone, a certain area where the ball is kicked, and a lot of that's placed off the opponent's kicker, where he normally puts the ball. And if he puts it in a certain area and he doesn't have enough hang time on it, we would like to take advantage of it, and that's what we try to train our guys on, to understand when the ball is the right ball to return. But for the most part, if they're giving us great kicks in their perspective, we need to take the ball on the 25-yard line. It makes no sense to do something that doesn't help your offense.
Yeah. Last year in the NFL, it was a pretty historic year with the 60 plus yard field goals. I know they have the K balls and that has something to do with it, but do you think college could follow a similar trend where you're seeing longer field goals?
I think the footballs would be the big thing there, for sure. When you get a kicking ball out there, it's a little bit different story. Right now that's not the option. You end up playing with the ball that's out there, for us on field goal. I do think the kicking ball allows you to be a little bit more aggressive with longer field goals. I think if that changed, then you might see college football change. But again, there's really good kickers in this country and in college football, and and you got to know what you got and what distance you got. And again, I think it's about making smart decisions for your team.
Well, Braden McAllister's a guy who made a 60 yarder last year. Is he someone who could maybe be called on in a special situation into half or something to try and boot a really deep one?
I do believe because of his leg strength, he definitely could. I'd like to see him continue to work on his accuracy. There's when you go out there and you kick a long one, you still got to have some accuracy, right? You got to still be able to put that thing through the goalpost. Now that he's done it in a game, though, I mean, that gives him definitely some credence to things, right? That definitely could be an option down there, but I will tell you this: I think Max Gilbert's doing a really good job, and when we figure out his situation and how far distance wise and everything, right now he would be the guy that we would go with in those situations.
I think we saw during the special forces drill, who was it, Sutton, Jelani, Tay, and Prevo catching balls off the jugs. Are those the four guys that are ahead maybe in for being a punt returner? Or are there other guys maybe that were just doing different drills today?
I love how you said special forces. Uh, so punt returner wise, I would say Sutton Smith. If we were to play today, Sutton would be our guy to start out there. Tay Lockett's doing a really good job. He's very natural at catching them. and I said this, I think the last time I got asked this question, I wanted to see his ball security improve because after he catches it, we were a little worried about that in the spring. He's been very intentional about that over the summer and now into fall camp. So I think he's putting himself into the mix just because he is putting a little bit more pride in the ball security part of it. John House, I don't think you mentioned him. Maybe you did. John House is a guy that's factoring in right now too. He's very smooth at catching it. He does a very good job at possessing the ball. We continue to work with Prevo. I think Prevo can eventually be a guy. I don't know if it would be this year, but he's a guy that we wanted to continue to develop. And I'm sorry, I think I left out Jelani Watkins. Yes. Jelani, now he's new to us for sure, getting here. If just kind of looking at it right now, I think he's more natural of a kick returner than punt returner. But I do think it's something that we're obviously going to continue to work with him, make sure he's getting catches. I think he's more of like the Prevo style as far as the punt returner goes. We got to keep developing him, and then maybe he could grow into a guy. But right now, I would say it's Sutton Smith, it's John House, and then Tay Lockett. The other one that can do it, but we do a lot of other things with him on special teams, but Jamari Hawkins has got a little bit of a feel for it as well.
You've been a head coach. You've been around a lot of fall camps. What stands out first 3 days about a Ryan Silverfield fall camp? What are you noticing right off the bat?
I love the toughness part. Like he's asking for all the little things to be done right, whether it's be taped for practice, whether it's be early for meetings, whether it's weighing in, whether it's making sure you're at your meal on time. And then when you go to practice, it's a physical, tough practice. We're practicing in the afternoons. It's in the heat. Guys are having to really work through mentally in a long, tough practice. Obviously, today was the first day that we put shoulder pads on, but I even think those helmet practices were really challenging our guys. From what I've seen from Coach, man, I love what he's trying to instill in this team. And I think it will really make us a really tough football team.
Now you guys track everything, but the field goal percentage yesterday looked pretty strong. What can you say about what you've seen from percentage?
Well, as far as field goal goes for us, we're just now getting started in fall camp. We've done a little bit over the summer. We had a lot of it during the spring, but we've obviously had a lot of individual work with our kickers. Max Gilbert's done a really good job. I mean, he's really been a very high percentage guy for us so far. And, I'm really looking forward to next week when, we're in our pads. We actually get field goal protection and field goal block going at him and get a little bit more pressure on him. He did a really nice job yesterday. We had a pressure kick set up for him, and he nailed it right down the middle. And but as always, and I hope he hears this when I tell him this, is you're only as good as your next kick. And he's got to have that mindset. But leading up to now, he's done a really good job. He's been very good with his percentage. And, I just want to see him continue to get better and really have a good year.
What do you think about the body type guys that you're going to get to fill out the coverage teams, the linebackers and safety type guys? What do they look like as a whole?
Yeah, so, those coverage teams, I mean, you're looking for like those big skill bodies. You're looking for linebackers. You're looking for safeties. You're looking for your running backs. On the punt team, you'll use your tight ends. You might not use them as much in your kickoff units. But I like the guys that we've got. I think we've got some guys that, kind of fit that mold. And coaches put a high emphasis on, starters being involved in special teams as well. Obviously, if they're a starter, it's hard for them to be a four-phase special teams guy. But I think, we'll be very strategic, especially with our coverage teams, of making sure we got the right personnel out there. But I do like our big skill bodies. I think they're doing a really good job there, and we got a chance to be good on our coverage teams for sure.
You talked about Jelani Watkins and mentioned how he could be there at kick returner. You guys also added Maurice, two really fast track stars. So what's it like potentially having those guys and their speed back there to potentially maybe have some kicks?
Well, anytime you start talking about like world-class speed, I mean, that gets you excited as a football coach. I think the things that you have to take into account is what are their ball skills like, and because you want to make sure first and foremost, like we said a while ago. I mean, you can fair catch a football and take it on the 25-yard line. So our goal as a kickoff return unit is never to start inside the 25. We're either going to be 25 or better. So that comes with great decisions, but it also comes with great ball security and possession of the ball. Excited about Jelani for sure. He has shown to have a knack at the kickoff return spot. Would love to see him more in a team situation. Let him see him catch with a little bit more traffic around him. But in individual drills, he's done a really good job with that. But he's definitely a guy that we want to try to get going and see what he can do. Because if he catches the ball really well and does a good job with decisions, he definitely can be a playmaker in that phase.
Sutton seems to be a guy that you guys want to get the ball into his hands as many times as possible. So how legitimate of a threat is he to score every time he touches the ball?
Throughout his career, he's obviously done a really good job with the ball in his hands. You got to know that he's already a playmaker because of what he's done in his past. Obviously, he's probably going to have a huge role on offense. At running back, whether it's carrying the ball, catching the ball, whatever on offense. And, he'll probably get a lot of touches there. I think we'll have to be really smart with him on special teams. Like I told you earlier, if we started a game today, he would be our punt returner. I think we're still looking if he's definitely could be our starting kickoff returner. But we may be smart about that. It might be one of those, hey, we want to get him more touches on offense, get him touches as the punt returner. And then go maybe a different direction on kickoff return. But because he is electric and he is a playmaker, we got to find ways to get the ball in his hands. And I think special teams will be really dictated off of how much he's touching it on offense.
There's kickers all across the country that are, freshmen, young guys, but you've got a senior this year. I mean, what are kind of the benefits of just having an older guy at that spot?
Always like to have older guys, especially coming into a new situation. Because they've been there, they've been through the fire. They've had experience in games. I think that's really good for a team like we have right now, to have a kicker that has kicked in big games. Again, you always have who you have, right? And if it was a young guy, we'd get him ready to go. But very blessed to have some especially on-field experience with our kicker.